Hey everyone, another video. This time we're doing a metallic black Foxhole mocha, and we're painting two new doors on it. So we're wetting the doors, but as I'm going through the process, I've actually caught a hair or piece of fuzz in the lacquer, and I'll show you how to remove that using some tweezers. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go then. Another job. We have a Foxhole mocha. Nearly said Volkswagen there. It is a Foxhole. Two new doors. This colour is 22V, I believe. But what we've done is we use the camera here a lot, the spectrometer. We use that just to colour match. So we've got a process that I've been using, and I've been getting very, very good results for the colour match. I don't think I've had one lower than 92%. I think this was like 97% accuracy on the colour match, so we didn't see the need to blend, especially with it being a black. I remember back in the day we never used to blend blacks. There was no need for it. So we polish the wing to a good standard, then we clean it off with a degreaser, and then just go back over it with your microfiber. And then you'll find when you put the camera on there, you're getting a higher result. Well, that's what we've been getting anyway, so like I said, no need to blend with this one. And we're just going in now with the is it Stanley blower. I can't seem to find these online, but this one's quite powerful. Get in and out of all the nooks and crannies. And coming in with the water-based degreaser, this one. We're using the solvent predominantly outside of the booth. Like I was saying in the other video, we're using an Hinges aerosol primer. Again, we've ran out of the dark grey. We had a problem ordering with the ordering system, but we're using Hinges aerosol primers, and the solvent-based degreaser attacks it almost like a thinner. It tends to take it off. So Hinges have told us to use the water base over the top. So outside the booth, we're very diligent on getting them cleaned out there, and then literally only aerosoling what we need over the top. You know, if we need it, we don't have to do it. But if they're clean outside, when we get them in, the water-based degreaser is more than enough to do a good job in here. So we're just coming in, making sure everything's as clean as possible before we start. And these two new doors, we're gonna wet them with the correct grey shade, which is why it's not such a big issue here. And like I said before, the insides of the doors are just as important as the outside. You find as well with the newer panels, a lot of the electrostatic coating that's applied to the doors, you know, once you've sanded it, it can be quite dirty. So just make sure you're giving these a real good clean. You see on the back of that rag there, it's not the nicest, but you want to keep as much of the electrostatic coating on as possible. That is the best anti-corrosion sort of undercoat that you want to have. So Standox have done quite an in-depth video on it, and why that they have produced a primer that doesn't need sort of scuffing up before you apply it. I can link that in the description as well. You'll notice some of the videos, if the more keen viewer will notice that I've not keyed up any of the newer panels, because there's no need to. Standox have designed a system that allow you to put the wet on wet primer on without any trouble. It's a direct to substrate primer. It has anti-corrosive properties to it, so that makes life a little easier when it comes to any small bust throughs or anything like that. You see, I've just took me microfiber from the box, and I use this now predominantly as a tack rag, Trying to use my blower without plugging it in there. Won't get very far doing that. Although that would make an interesting video if I did. I do tend to use the water-based degreaser with this Kirkland microfiber rag, but like I was just saying, the amount of dirt that comes off of new panels after they've been keyed up, you just destroy your rag. There'd be no point doing it. So I do like to use the panel wipe rags before. Sometimes I don't need it. It's all about keeping the jobs as easy as possible for me. If I'm just going to destroy my cloth when I could use a different rag, then I'm going to go with that option. And now just using the Ion Star anti-static gun. I've also had a few questions recently about pricing on these. I don't know, we didn't pay for this one. I say we didn't, I didn't pay for it, the bosses paid for it, so we were given it on loan from LKQ. And we liked it. We found we were getting cleaner jobs, so we asked them to purchase one. But I'll stick a link in the description for the Ion Star main website. I found that you know, anything that makes my life easier, like these, keeping the dust and dirt off, is what you want to have. They are designed, you know, for taking the static away from plastics, but I've found they work phenomenal on metal panels as well. Here we go with the wet on wet. Just doing these hinges first. Like I said, there's an anti-corrosive property inside this wet on wet primer, so there's no need to worry about etching them or anything like that. It is just awkward getting every angle on there. And now onto the main door. You'll notice as well, I always go underneath first while the pot is as full as it can be. Any more experienced sprayers will know once you start getting towards the end of the pot, it will start chattering. But you might also as well just tip the pot upside down, or the whole gun, and then pull the trigger as hard as you can, and that'll force the bag to collapse and release any air that's in there. So there's a couple of ways around that. Again, just making sure you've got every little bit of the inside of the door. I always go back to front. I don't know, you know, let me know in the comments if anybody's doing it the front and then the back of the door, and if there's any benefits to it. Like I say, I'm open to trying new things. This is just the way I've always done it, so I'll carry on doing it that way. You notice as well, there's quite a bit of primer on the inside of that, not on the inside of the door, underneath the wet on wet that was putting on there. Sometimes you will get a new door that's slightly damaged. You just contact the supplier and let them know, and they were able to give us a discount on this door. You know, it's much easier to just ask us to repair it and give us some money off than it was to send us a new door. You see on this one as well, you shouldn't really have things like that, but they're just small dents. It could have been done in transit. It's not a big problem, but not ideal. So just be mindful of that if you're working on anything yourself. Just double check your new parts. All well and good thinking that they're new and shiny and we can just paint them and bolt them on, but there's a few sort of micro dents in this rear door, and there's a little bit of a larger one on the front door. But it's, again, for me, I'll say it again, checking. There's no point rushing ahead painting this door saying we've got it done to find out there's a dent in it and maybe you can't cold metal it. Saying hi to Rob there. We need to get Rob in the booth at some point. He's really interested in the painting part of the business. And we'll just come around the front here, hitting the top edges. Again, always edges first. And then coming back in to complete the door. I see a lot of guys put in really wet coats of wet on wet, and I don't know if that's better for some paint schemes, but I've found sometimes less is more. The last thing you want to do is overload your wet on wet primer and end up with issues caused by trying to get like a superior wet on wet finish. I don't know, I see some people applying it like lacquer. Obviously it's got to be wet, but you're not trying to achieve a finish with this. This is your primer coat. Obviously it needs to be as smooth as possible, but some people, when they're applying them and having to lay the doors flat to stop it from running, you know, and unless that's what your wet on wet is designed to be like. But I've found less is more, especially with this stuff. You'll see here when I go around the doors, it's silky smooth. Not that you'll see it from the inside, but when we go around the front, it dries silky smooth. So you see the gun jittering a little bit there, I was saying before. And you'll see I'm just checking the insides, making sure everything on the inside is as good as the outside. Nothing worse than missing a bit, especially if the trim panel doesn't cover it. You feel like a bit of a wally. I've had it happen to me once or twice in the past. It's not the best when the manager calls you around saying, why haven't you painted this part? But you know, pay attention on the insides as well as the outsides. I remember working with a painter and he didn't get full coverage on the bottom of the door, and when they lay it flat to build up the inside you could see it, and the boss went mad at him. And I thought, you know, the boss was probably out of line, but it was actually a better finish than what the factory one was. The factory literally had nothing under there. But you know, we're here to do a job and not just match the factory. If we can better it, then that's what we like to do. Although I suppose the standard says putting it back to how it left the factory. Like I say, the boss wasn't best pleased when he saw it, so that one stuck in mind. I learnt that lesson from someone else, just to make sure that it's good on the inside. And you'll notice the wet on wet here is silky smooth. It's very nice after it's flashed off. Like I say, I don't think there's any point overloading the standox wet on wet, trying to get it to lay flat. This has come out lovely. I'm just coming in with the first coat there, making sure I've got everything, and now I'll apply the effect coat slightly further away, and just making sure that, you know, it's almost like a drop coat, this second one, but it does add a lot of colour. This being a 1.5 coat system, the pigments are a lot more intense, but I love it though. It's a really quick system. We see Rob at the door there watching again, eagle-eyed Rob. Just making sure we're getting underneath that door the window underneath the frame. Some of these newer cars, they have a lot of the inner side of the door on show. Again, that's why I'm saying to make sure that you paint it as well as possible. Give the same level of detail on the inside, but you know, if they're fitting it up and the door rubber doesn't cover that particular part, even if it's a bit orange peely, you've got full coverage. When I was back over at the BMW place, a guy had to polish the inside of the door, or the underside of the, I don't even know what you call that, the window frame. Had to get in there and polish it because it was a bit peely. And like I say, for the couple of seconds it would have took just to double check, it's worth doing. Sometimes you think that they're not as important as they are, but it was just one of those on that day. That particular door, more of the inside of the door was showing than normal, and we got caught out. You see again this silky smooth wet on wet. And you see the first coat, I'm in slightly closer than the other coats that I've been putting on. I say the other coats, the effect coat, slightly closer, a little bit quicker with the arm speed, but making sure I'm achieving coverage. And then further away, slightly slower on the arm movements, just making sure that effect goes on nicely. This is a metallic black. Really nice colour actually. You'll find that with a lot of cars. You don't really appreciate the colour until it's like you've painted it and it's brand new looking. You can really see the metallics and things. You can see we've taped up that sticker there just to make sure we weren't able to get a replacement, so had to break out the scalpel there and do a nice job of masking it. You see I'm being very directional with the spray gun there, trying to keep it away from the sort of the taping on the door edge, the flip tape there. But everything's all good, I'm happy. Quick look over, make sure there's nothing there. Top of that door edge, just a little bit. And it's clear coat time. So same again, you'll notice I keep saying it, the consistency, but I'm coming in, I'm starting where I started the last time, making sure everything's how I want it to be. Just take your time now, make sure you want to get a nice finish on the inside, and you don't want to run it as well. I've ran a couple of doors, in this particular spot, and they're not fun to try and take out, to be honest. Under that door edge again, like I was saying, my friend got caught out at the last place and had to polish under there, so it's just about being conscious, making sure that you're hitting all your spots. And then onto the outside edge of the door. Again, edges first. That way we know they're done, and we can make this door shiny. if I'm not wrong here, I think I get a bit of hair or something in the door, and this is where I keep my tweezers to hand. I say to hand, I've had to run out and get them, but when it's in your lacquer, you can actually, you know, rather than nibbing it, this is why I like to use tweezers, but because you can actually grab with them, you can pinch at it. You'll see they're running off past our lovely Indasa trolleys. And these, I'll leave a link for these in the description, they're really handy. But because they're tweezers, you can actually pinch and like hold on to the hair and fluff and what have you. And you'll see it there. These are well used as well, you'll notice. But that bit of fuzz there, I'm just looking at my reflection. You can see because the camera's mounted on my chin and not my head, I'm not quite getting it, but you see that bit of fuzz there is gone. But because you're able to grab it, pull it out, and then the mark that it's left, just go over the top with a light coat of clear again, and then that will flow out and you'll have no issues. In your second coat you won't even know it was there. So like I said, I'll leave a link for them in the description. They're really, really handy to have to hand, like especially on a white. I think that was when I'd seen them paint a friend of mine. I was saying, oh, I've got a bit of hair in a white door, and I was like, what do? I was trying to get it with tape and it wasn't coming out, and he ran in there with these tweezers and that was it. He just come in real light, pulled the hair out, but because you can grab it, he's actually held on to the hair, pulled it out of the door, put an extra coat of lacquer over the top of that, and it was like it was never there. So since then, you know, I ran out and bought myself a set. I think there's like 8 or 10 in a pack for like £10, and well worth keeping in your box. And you'll see I've just finished the inside of this door before we go around the front. Again, I know a door card covers a lot of this, but if we make sure it's nice way beyond where the door card goes, you have no issues when it comes to build up. Try and hit these hinges as well. There's Rob again. Might have to do some kind of spot Rob challenge. We'll come up with some prizes and stuff. We'll have to do the first person in the comments who sees Rob wins something. I think that'll be fun. Let me know if you'd be interested in that in the comments. Why not? Let's have some fun with it. You'll see again. I'm coming in at the door. First coat of clear. A good steady pace. For those that are asking, you know, I will answer anything in the comments, but some people have asked me about the gun setup. So I have my fan on this walcom wide open, and I have my fluid adjustment. I wind it all the way in and I turn it out 3 complete turns. It's a 1.2 as well, and I'm running at sort of between 20 and 30 psi, even 31, just above the 2 bar mark. And that's how I'm achieving these finishes. You know, you can see there's nothing crazy on the first coat, but when you come in with this second one, they're, you know, they're well better than factory. You know, a good coat that's acceptable gun finish. You'll notice as well my hand speed's a little slower, just making sure that we're getting the coverage, but you can start to see towards the bottom of the door that the gloss level's right where you want it to be. And these doors, I think I've only give the insides one good coat of clear. You know, we're not in there polishing, we're not taking anything off the top of it. So on the higher end cars, I will tend to put 2 in there. But you know, there's nothing wrong with the finish from the 1 coat in here, so I'll put 1 on the inside and 2 good ones on the outside. Again, going up and over the top, making sure everything's how we want it to look before we put it on bake. You see, I have a little walk around as well, double checking my lacquer here. You can see in the pot, in that BPS pot, there's not a lot going on here. Little tip that I put in another video as well, just putting the fade out on beforehand and then blending into it with the clear coat. And then I'll put another slight coat over the top after I remove these loops, and then that just helps blend the old into the new, and then it should be really easy to polish up. Nice little one there. Making sure I'm happy before we wrap this one up. Again, I'd like to thank you all for your time if you've made it this far through all my waffling on. And if you are getting any value from these videos, if you don't mind, stick a like on it and a subscribe. Just helps YouTube play these through their algorithm to more like-minded people, and it helps the channel grow a little. So if you are getting anything from these videos, I would appreciate it. And you can just see a nice little walk round, make sure you're happy. There's a slight texture to it, but like I was saying, this is like a gun finish. Matches the rest of the car, so we're really happy with this one. You see that nib's gone. And you just need a quick polish. Thanks for watching.